Hi, and welcome along to AFTV News Daily. Happy Easter. It's a bank holiday Monday over here in the UK. So everybody's at home. Well, everybody's at home anyway, because actually today is like the third week. This is actually the third week of the lockdown. 3 weeks since we've been stuck inside. And it's set to continue again today. They're going to be talking, the government are going to be talking about it later on, but all indications is that they're going to continue this on because, you know, we can see that, you know, over 10,000 deaths, you know, so we still haven't got on top of this. So it's going to continue on. And it's really crazy times. As I said, normally today would have been like a bank holiday over here in the UK. So we would have had the day off anyway, but it just seems like Monday. It's just like a normal day. But I hope you're all feeling good out there today. The weather's not as great as it was yesterday. Maybe that's a good thing. That will mean that people will definitely stay inside. But yeah, it is what it is. And we are here to try and brighten up your day here early in the morning. Now, going through some of the Arsenal stories, I came across this one and I really had to have a laugh about it, right? And I'm going to do a poll to try and find out about this, right? The worst signing of all time at Arsenal. We've been talking a lot about transfers, what we're going to buy, who we're going to get. But who's been the worst transfer? Now, I know a lot of people say this next gentleman, Kim Kallstrom, remember him? Signed for Arsenal and he had a broken back. Played about 3-4 games. One of those games was actually a game that you know, helped us to get to the cup final. But Kim Kallstrom. Now, I was reading an article by him. He was being interviewed the other day, and he's kind of pushing back on it and saying that he's not the worst signing. Right? He goes, "I see fans who joke on the internet about my time here, but I think it's quite fun. There's a lot of players who've done a lot more for Arsenal than me." That's pretty obvious. But then at the same time, there's a lot of players who've done a lot less in a lot more time. He said, "Here I walked in, hit the penalty, we won the trophy, and then I walked out again. Who'd have thought that? The guy with a broken back." And of course, you know what I mean? Remember that. Arsenal signed Kim Kallstrom with a broken back. He also goes on to talk about in that article how he broke his back. He was actually, because we signed him from Spartak Moscow, he must have been training. He said he was training on a beach. And then he realized that, you know, they realized that he'd damaged his back. They let Arsenal know, he said. They let Arsenal know, and Arsenal still signed him. Now, I mean, it's beyond belief, but it is true. That is what happened, and we ended up signing a player with a broken back in Kim Kallstrom. But is he the worst ever signing at Arsenal? You could put Denis Suarez into that category. Remember, we signed him last transfer window in January. He came in from Barcelona. We was thinking, oh, okay, he looks a decent player in that. Hardly played a game. Again, another player who said that literally all the time he was there, he was injured. You know, and there's been a catalogue of poor signings in recent times. Sanogo, terrible signing. When he came in, there's rumours that the rumours are is that, you know, there was other players we could have got at the time, but we opted for Sanogo. And he, again, was disastrous, always injured, really, really, really poor. You know, so what's been our worst signing? Our worst signing? I really like to hear from you guys because there's been a lot of really, really poor ones. But Kim Kallstrom is definitely right up there. But as he says, he did make an important, you know, he makes a good point there. He made a very important contribution to Arsenal that did help us to end our trophy drought. So maybe you could, well, what he's saying there, he goes, right, I didn't do a lot in the time I was there, but the little bit that I did was a very important bit. But Denis Suarez, what did he do? What did Sanogo do? El Neni, what's he done? There's a lot of players. So please tell me, who do you think's the worst signing at Arsenal? And on signings, it was really interesting to see yesterday. Paul Merson was talking about this whole situation with Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Remember, I said we were talking about it on the show a couple of days ago, where the president of Gabon's Football Association urging Aubameyang to leave, saying that, you know, you should go to a club that's going to win things and more ambitious and stuff like that. Me and Claude were talking a lot about it on Saturday night. Paul Merson coming out and saying, listen, I've seen all these reports and that, but my warning to Aubameyang is the grass isn't always greener on the other side. And, you know, reiterated to Aubameyang that Arsenal is a massive club. And, you know, be careful what you do, because the grass isn't always greener. I think he makes a great point there. You know, a lot of people talking about, ambitions, wants to win trophies, stuff like that. Everybody wants to win trophies. Obviously, I understand it. However, he's captain of Arsenal Football Club. Arsenal are a big club. We're not winning anything at the moment, but it's a big, big club. You're the captain of that club. You're the main man of that club. The fans love you. You could end up going to another club where you're just a bit. You know, how many big players have gone to your Real Madrids, your Barcelonas, clubs like that, and have just become a fringe player? Big players at their clubs, the main man, and then go to these clubs, and then you're just a little fringe player. I'm not saying that would be Aubameyang, but it's possible. You know what I mean? We've seen big players go to some of these clubs, and that has happened to them. And then just look at the example of the one I always look at is Alexander Kleb. He was at Arsenal, he was doing brilliant, got that dream move to Barcelona. He always writes about it and says, listen, it's the biggest regret that I have in going to Barcelona. I was at Arsenal, I was doing well, and I went to Barcelona, and I should never have made that move. So sometimes, you know, be careful. The grass isn't always greener, Aubameyang. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? I think Paul Merson makes a really, really good point when he talks about that. Now, getting into this whole thing about the players and pay cuts and stuff like that, I didn't go into this in as much detail yesterday because we was talking more about that crazy story with Unai Emery and the girl who claimed that, you know, he called her the white witch because all the bad results when she split up with him. But today I'm going to touch a bit deeper into this. Now, this whole story that came out about Arsenal, about the Arsenal players having to take, or not having to take, a suggestion being put to these players that they should take a pay cut. And there was this 5-point plan or 5-point proposal that was leaked yesterday, right? Apparently it was sent to Hector Bellerin, who's the PFA representative of Arsenal. Now, this was leaked out yesterday, and the 5-point plan was this, or 5-point proposal was this: a 12.5% pay cut for 12 months, and that would run from April to March 2021. The full amount is refunded. This is point 2. Full amount is refunded if Arsenal qualify for the Champions League, right? So qualify for the Champions League, you get all your money back. All that money is refunded. Free if Arsenal don't qualify for the Champions League, then no money's returned back. So you lose 12.5% of your wages. 4, if Arsenal fail to qualify for the Champions League but qualify for the Europa League, the cut becomes 7.5%, right? So you still have a pay cut, but you'd only be 7.5%. And 5, if the season does not finish and or Arsenal does not get the full money from the broadcasters, then they will ask the players to find a further solution. Now, that was leaked out yesterday. And you can imagine it doesn't look like the players are very happy about it. The players have apparently sort of turned this down, but I started to think about this more. And number one, bit naughty of the club to leak this out. If this has been put to the players, it looks very strategic to leak it out so that, again, the pressure is being put on the players. The players have already, remember, put into this scheme where they're going to be donating a lot of money to the NHS, right? Which is fantastic, right? Now they're being asked to take pay cuts if they don't get into the Champions League, pay cuts if they don't get into the Europa League. Now, on the face of it, when you look through that, it does seem fairly reasonable. And these pay cuts, we've been told that money would then go to help, paying all the backroom staff, so that all those staff can get paid. Obviously, Arsenal, I think, employ about 700 people. So this would ensure that everybody gets paid, everybody on the backroom staff, all those ground staff, the people who work at the training ground, all of those people would get paid through the money, what would be saved on these wages. However, what about Stan Kroenke in this? Now, it's all very well asking the players to take a pay cut and stuff like that. But if you're the owner of something, you own a football club, you own a business, you own anything right now in this time, and it's not just football, remember, in any business right now, you're taking a hit. You are taking a hit. Can't you take a hit out of your personal wealth? This guy's a billionaire. Billionaire, remember. Yeah, he's worth probably more than every single one of those Arsenal players, right throughout the squad. I'm not just talking about the first team, the whole squad. He's worth more than them put together. Yeah? Why can't he swallow the big dent that is going to be left in the finances for Arsenal? Why can't he cover it for an extended period of time? Why is he immediately turning to the players? Why has this story been leaked out to again put pressure on the players? Why have we not heard from Stan on this? What is he going to do? What sort of, what is he going to be funding? What's going to be coming out of his pocket? Because certainly I can tell you, as even a person who owns my own business, I've had to take a cut. I've had to take a massive hit to cover things. You know what I mean? So obviously Arsenal are going to be taking a massive hit on this one. But what is Stan Kroenke's hit? What is he going to be forking out? And we're not hearing nothing from him. We're seeing leaks come out, but we're not hearing nothing from him. And I would like to hear from him as the owner of the football club to find out what is he going to be taking as a hit. And if you're a player, you'll be thinking that yourself, won't you? You'll be thinking to yourself, well, hold on a minute. You're asking me to take a pay cut, right? I'm on a contract. Why can't you cover those backroom staff? That's not a player's responsibility. Let's be real right now, right? It's not the player's responsibility to cover the ground staff. He doesn't employ the ground staff, right? Stan Kroenke and the club employ the KSC. They employ the ground staff. They employ the kit guys, all that. They employ all of these people, yeah? They employ them. So it's not the responsibility of the footballer to say, right, I'm going to take a cut in my wages to make sure they get paid, even though we're seeing that players all over the place are doing that. They're deferring it. I saw the other day the Southampton players deferred their wages so that it would enable, them to pay these staff. And I see that. But in the case of Arsenal, we've got a multi-billionaire in charge. I'm not saying that the players shouldn't take a pay cut, but I'm asking, because I haven't, and maybe he has, but we haven't heard from it. And this is where the poor communication from Stan Kroenke comes in. What are you doing? I would like to know what he's doing. I don't know about you guys, but I would really like to know what his contributions are right now. He could be making contributions. He could be forking out money right now to keep things afloat, but we're not hearing nothing to know. So I would like to hear that. Let's love to get your views on this. Darren says, Stan couldn't care less about Arsenal or football, sadly. The idea he's going to spend big money is a total pipe dream. Now, as I said, I'm not on about transfers now. I'm on about the day-to-day running of the club. If you're asking players to take cuts and 5-point plans and that in order to make sure that other staff are being sorted, what are you doing? That's if I was a player, that would be the question that I'd be asking first. Tom says, you think he's going to invest in us before the LA Rams? You must be joking. Of course, we know that he's got lots of different clubs, and a lot of these clubs are going to be in as well the same sort of scenarios and same sort of circumstances as what Arsenal are in. But that's why he needs to come out and tell us what's going on. What are you going to do about it? Because, you know, no disrespect, I couldn't give a toss about the LA Rams. My team is Arsenal. What are you doing with regards to this? If you're asking them, leaking out these things about 5-point plans, what about you? That's what I'm asking. Sam Saunders on a different thing here. He says, as much as I dislike RVP, he's by far the best finisher for us in the Emirates area. We can't let another one go in Aubameyang. Again, what are we doing to try and hold on to Aubameyang? Are we trying to hold on to Aubameyang? You know, that's, again, nobody's coming out and saying anything. Bilk says, big up Robbie, Man United fan here, but just like the Glazers, club owners can't be brushed away. And we know that. And again, yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? I see the club owners at Manchester United, and yeah, they're not exactly much better, if not even worse sometimes. This one here from True said, it was time to dip into his pockets years ago. Where is the AFTV campaign to get Kroenke out? Now, listen, it's we even said last year, right? He's taken over the club 100%. It's time to see what he's going to do now. Now that he owns the club 100%, we're really and truly, in reality, he had it 100% for the last 10 years. But this is a time when we want to see him step up. We want to see him step up right now. And we want to see what is he doing to, you know, to keep the club afloat. And, you know, what is he doing? I don't know. He probably is. But please, can he tell us? You know, really want to know. Mike Dennis says, please, Dangote, buy us. Dangote, of course, the billionaire owner, well, not owner, but the billionaire based over there in Nigeria is interested in buying the club. Terry says, I don't think you're going to get many clubs spending much money coming up, let alone Arsenal. He's right. But I'm not really talking about, this is not on about spending now. I'm not really talking about spending. I'm talking about when he's asking players to take pay cuts and pay deferrals and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, I do think players can play their part in this, but he owns billions. What's his cut? What is his contribution of his personal wealth? I mean, you can have a business and the business runs itself, but personally, now that the business is going to be in trouble because of the coronavirus, what are you doing? What are you going to contribute in if you're asking the players to do that? That's what I want to know. Ben says, Robbie, I'm an Arsenal fan from Alabama. Hope all is well. Plan to move to the UK after college. Brilliant, mate. And then you can get to come to some Arsenal games. That would be brilliant. Ronnie says, Robbie, love from Canada. Saw you at Arsenal versus Bayern last summer in LA. We actually beat Bayern on that day. Enough respect to you, mate. This one here, Jack says, do you think it's true that Africa's richest man is interested in buying us? He's a massive Arsenal fan. It is true. He's openly come out and said, he's even said that he wants to buy it by 2021. Maybe this could be the opportunity for him to try and make a move because, you know, the funds are going to be really, really, well, we can see already from all of these things that are being put to the players. Could this be a situation where somebody could come in and put an offer in to buy the club, offer Stan Kroenke, and maybe he looks at it and says to himself, you know what, with all the things I've got and all the debt that these clubs are going to be straddling me at the moment, I'll sell it. Maybe. But Let's see this one here. This is Louis. He says, funny how Man City, of course, he's talking about, gets slagged off for spending money, but other clubs are begging their owners to do the same. Well, listen, I don't think that's the case. I think what the case of it is in the case of Man City, do they do it in a fair way? Right, which I think has been proven recently. They haven't been doing it in a fair way. They've been doing it in a pretty dishonest way, and hence why they got this ban from the Champions League. So I don't think I don't think it's unfair when some people have been criticising Man City. If I'm being honest. Table Tennis Twin says, Robbie, slide Dangote in your DMs and get him to get him to do one, or get him to buy the club. I think he's saying, listen, I wish he was in my DMs, but he's not. He's not in my DMs. As far as I know, he doesn't follow us, right? Otherwise, I'll be encouraging him and saying, yeah, listen, try and get in there and get something done. Jonathan says, Kroenke will never sell. That's just the reality of it. He probably, he's a very rich guy. He's holding on to the club, but I want to see what he's doing. These are times where your owner has to step up. Your owner needs to come out at this time and say to the fans, people, it's tough times at the moment, but this is how we're going to get through it. This is what needs to be happening at these type of times. And also, as I said, if you're asking players to forego their money, we would like to know, and I'm sure the players would like to know, what your contribution is going to be. You can't just put everything on the players. Players are being, basically at the moment, the way it's being portrayed, it's almost as if the players run the club. Do the players run the club or something? It's not the players who pay wages. Players get paid wages, So, yeah, you ask your employees, guys, we're going through a tough time. We need you guys to help out. But if I'm a player or I'm an employee, I'm going to be asking, all right, I'm prepared to take a pay cut or a pay deferral. But what are you doing? You're a billionaire. What are you doing to help out the situation? Because, bit like with the other day, I saw Richard Branson getting heavily criticised, where he's laid off loads of staff, and they were saying that he could have paid all of his staff something like £500 a week, and he'd lose off of his personal wealth. He'd lose something like about 1%, and that would be to pay them for the next 3 months or something like that, £500 a week. So you look at things like that and you say, well, what are you, you can't be asking other people to take a hit on behalf of the club to help out other people if you're not doing it. And all I want to know is, what is he doing? So I said he might be doing something, but what is it? Well, we don't know, because he never talks to anybody. Lucien says maybe time for a new owner. And as I said, as I said, it's a bit cynical when things get leaked out. You know what I mean? How did the paper get all this? How they get all this information on this 5-point plan? It's a leak. To again put the players into a position, because when you look at some of those terms, they seem fairly reasonable. You know what I mean? You don't get into there are a lot of pointers in it are sort of designed to get fans saying to the players, well, hold on, yeah, you should, if you don't get into the Champions League, cut. You don't get into the Europa League, cut. Right? They're very smart the way they've done those things, right? And you look on it, and on the face of it, you say, it's fairly reasonable. But the question is, what is Stan? What's your contribution to the crisis? Black Sheep 19 says, bet you Kroenke has had to be talked out of using the furlough because of the extra bad press he would get on top of what he gets already. He wants to use it, and I'll tell you, I wouldn't go against what that guy's saying there. I definitely wouldn't go against what he's saying there. Trump says Stan is greedy and the Arsenal players are greedy. Well, honestly, I'm going to defend the players here now. They're not greedy. They've already come out and said they're going to contribute a load of money to the NHS. right? Every one of the Arsenal players have come out. They're giving big money to the NHS. They've been thanked by the NHS. They've been thanked by the health minister, right? They're all, not just Arsenal players, but footballers are making a massive contribution to the NHS, right? The club players are doing, you know, I think players will be willing to take deferrals, but they're going to be asking the question, what about the owner? What are you doing? What's your thing? So I think now let's move away from saying the players are greedy. They're not greedy at the moment. They're playing their part. They definitely are. Jack says, honest opinion on how long we have Kroenke as an owner. Well, listen, he doesn't look like he's going anywhere at the moment fast. So Winfred says, when the going gets tough, Kroenke hides. You know, definitely, I'd like to see my owner coming out right now and talking about, you know, what he's gonna do about the situation. Take Me Back says the FA deregulated everything, and now the billionaires can buy clubs outright. The European giants' major shareholders are the fans. Real, Barca, Bayern. I wouldn't really put Real and Barca in that, even though they are. I still think the clubs are really run by those mega owners. They make all the big decisions. But Bayern Munich and all the clubs in Germany, yes, or the majority of them, apart from say Leipzig and that, are majority run by the fans. The Decent Family says, "Hey Robbie, it's the Caribbean voice. How soon you see Arsenal being able to match up with the likes of Manchester City, Barcelona, etc., and winning? Remember the last time we won against Barcelona in the first leg? That was brilliant. I was there." At the moment, it's going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time to catch up with those teams, especially with all this going on. I think we're very reliant on our manager, Mikel Arteta. A lot of it's going to come down to him. It's going to come down to, you know, is he going to be able to get the very best out of what we've got? Because I can't see us really spending a lot of money in the future. Alexander says, what do you think about Mikel Arteta as manager? How is your dream? I think you meant to say, who is your dream manager in the future? Greetings from Arsenal and IFK Gothenburg fan in Sweden. I do like Mikel Arteta. I really do like Mikel Arteta. And I think, again, as I said, his job's going to be to get the very best out of the players we've got. I'm not dreaming of any other manager at the moment. I really want to see Mikel Arteta succeed at Arsenal. And, let's get a few more in here. True Said It Again says, KSE's model is not a good fit for Arsenal. And should Arsenal want to win major trophies again, I think, you know, you can't argue with that right now. You know, I mean, we're not close to being where we want to be, you know, so you can't argue with that. Another one here, La Copa says, hopefully they will reduce season ticket prices. That's another thing. There's been no talk on that. We talk of cuts and this and that and blah, 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 but no talk about the season ticket prices and what's going to happen with that. I guess they're waiting to see if the season's gonna finish or not, but you know, no talk about that. Here, Tobias Duncan says, can 150 million and good management get us into the top four, Don Robbie? Yeah, certainly could. You know, certainly could. You know, 150 million and good management certainly can get you into the Champions League. Definitely. Less than that, even if the club is run right. Look at Leicester. They haven't spent 150 million, but they were set to get into the Champions League. It's about, you know, having the right players in the right positions who can play the style that you want to play. Alpha says, I think Arsenal should bring Wenger back as a scout because he discovered the likes of Ibra and Yaya Toure. He's taking the mick. He didn't sign them though, did he? He didn't sign them. Like, listen, Arsene Wenger was a great manager. His time is done. He's moved on, and you know, we got to look to the future, and the future is Mikel Arteta. But can they support him? That's going to be the thing. A. Lavangi says, the problem isn't the club owners, etc. It's us fans. We need to stand up against this. Otherwise, we are screwed. Oh, sorry, I've done that one already. David says, we need to know what Kroenke's vision for the club is. Well, he was, I remember being at one of those meetings with him when a fan stood up and asked him that question. You know, Stan, can you give us your vision? And they basically refused to answer it. You know, didn't want to tell little people. It was a simple question that the fan asked, and they didn't answer it. You know, Stan Kroenke didn't answer it. And, you know, so, yeah, you know what I mean? What is the vision, especially now? What is the vision? Blix says Kroenke's worse than the Glazers. At least they spend some money. And Winfrey says, knowing Kroenke, he'll put the prices of the season tickets up. Well, I don't think, listen, he wouldn't want to do that right now. I'll tell you that. I mean, first of all, you'd have a half-empty stadium because money is going to be short for absolutely everybody after this. Make no mistake about it. Money is going to be very, very short. So season ticket prices and stuff like that can't be put up. I'll tell you that right now. I'm going to do a couple more. Let me see if I can, this guy here, Sachin. He says, Kroenke will use the current financial crisis as an excuse not to spend. It is a pretty good excuse. if we're being fair, it is a pretty good excuse. I mean, because money is going to be really, really short. It is going to be really, really short. Mo says, Abramovich is the owner doing it right. Keeps Chelsea running financially stable without breaching money laws. Keeps signing quality players and moves players like Morata and Hazard for a profit. Hold on, wait a minute. Remember, it was Abramovich's Chelsea that got that ban because, again, they were breaking rules when it came to signing young players and the way they were running their academy. So, yes, the one thing I do say about him is that he does put his money where his mouth is. You know, you've got to say that about Abramovich. You know, he puts his money where his mouth is. He loves Chelsea, obviously. He's always at all the games. You never see Kroenke at a game. He's never there. What was the last Arsenal game he was at? John says, Kroenke is a waste man, and the day he leaves will be a good day. Obviously, he's not a big fan. And another one here, EA says, and all you cuss Roman. Roman came to the Prem and has been the most successful in the last 10 years. As I said, Roman Abramovich has put his money where his mouth is, loves Chelsea, he's always at all the games. You've got to respect that. I do respect that. You know, although, as I said, there has been some things that, under his stewardship that haven't been right. That's why Chelsea got that transfer ban last season. But certainly you cannot argue the fact that he puts his money where his mouth is. Does Stan? I ask you guys the question. So let me know in the comments. Keep those comments coming in. It's been a fantastic response today, as always. We're going to be back tonight with the show, so make sure you check it out. We've got the quiz starting back again today. You had all weekend off to look into those questions from last week. You get the answers for those today, plus a new set. So make sure you check that out. Don't forget to check out as well me and DT, the race that we had. Make sure the Supercar Challenge, that's out as well. Lots of content here on AFTV to keep you entertained. And we'll be back tonight with another AFTV News Daily. Thanks for watching and have yourself a great bank holiday.